let's go through a brief history of Nintendo. More specifically, its early years. I want to call those the golden years of Nintendo. They were the ones carrying the whole gaming industry. I'm talking NES, SNES, we all know those. The Mario Worlds, the Metroids, the Kid Icarus games, all of those, they carried the whole gaming industry. They're the ones that propelled gaming to what they are now. And even moving on, the N64, the whole Rare catalog, it was nothing but gold out there. 007, Banjo-Kazooie, Mario 64, these things were revolutionary at the time. Mario Party, they had 6 of those Mario Party games in the N64, and yet they were still golden. Mario Sports. Golfing is the worst thing for me as a kid to watch on TV, and yet I wanted to buy this game just because it had Mario in it. Everything that they did, everything that they produced, that they developed, it was golden. They were the staple of 3D platforming, right? And they kept this mentality of innovate, of having fun, of making a player get an experience out of it all throughout the GameCube. However, this era is where gaming started becoming mainstream. The GameCube era, Xbox era, the PlayStation was coming up. And sure, they had good games, but they're mostly hidden gems for a reason. So, the first party we all know that went hard. The FX0, the Super Smash Brothers, the Mario Sunshines, Luigi's Mansion, all of those first parties, they went hard, nothing but bangers. They also have some hidden gems out there. Ikaruga, Amazing Island, and something that most people haven't played, iNinja. That game was a banger, 10 out of 10. I replayed that game so much when I was a kid. Tales of Symphonia, everything just fit perfectly on that GameCube design. Nintendo left a legacy, and this carried over through the Wii era. They were trying some things, they had a couple bangers, they had a couple misses, but they always wanted to put a player experience first and foremost. However, this is when gaming became mainstream. This no longer was a niche thing that people were using as entertainment. Gaming was the source of entertainment. It was no longer just TV. It was TV or gaming. So now in this era, the Wii era, Nintendo couldn't afford to make mistakes because there were so many options for consumers. Enter the Wii U era, their flop. This was Nintendo's nail in the coffin. They had a brutal loss and they saw what it did to them. And so we had the laziest game development practices where every single game was copy and paste. Tell me the difference between Mario World Wii U and Mario World 3DS. Please, tell me the difference between Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze or Donkey Kong Country in the 3DS. Zero difference, same engine. All these games were interchangeable. Even their legacy games, something as epic as Super Smash Bros. Tell me the difference between Super Smash Bros. 4 and Super Smash Bros. 3DS. Is there really that much of a difference? And sure, we can nitpick to Nintendo's credit. We can say this is different, they put more effort here. However, we're talking about vastly different consoles. We should not make exceptions for how a game performs on a console versus how they perform in a handheld platform like the 3DS. These are vastly different projects. And sure, both can give you a great gaming experience. However, this is where we as consumers can tell that Nintendo left the effort in order to maximize in efficiency. The Wii U era was the decline of Nintendo. And now they're like every modern gaming company. They make sequels, oversaturate the market, there's no innovation, they have a formulaic gameplay, they reduce content, which is a personal pet peeve of mine. People talk about Animal Crossing New Horizons. That game was incomplete. The 3DS Animal Crossing had more content built in than the actual Switch version. And sure, we can say as consumers, yeah, Animal Crossing New Horizon, they added DLC, they added extra content to it. But guys, we should expect more from the media that we consume. We should not be giving excuses to companies that have millions of dollars to invest in their property and give them a pass just because they're releasing content slower. The whole gaming industry has kind of conditioned the consumer into thinking this is the normal practice, when we should realize that this is not normal. Games should be completed on the day that they're released. And now look at where we're at. Nintendo has to gatekeep all of their games. And yes, it is a mandatory practice because all that history that I just went through, all of that, Nintendo was gold with their games alone. Their properties was worth more than most franchises today. However, now, Nintendo can't compete. Nintendo has to lock these games into a sort of kid-friendly atmosphere in order to sell to you, the consumer, that this is a Nintendo brand. This gaming practice is the equivalent of saying Hot Cheetos, the brand, they were so successful in the early years that they started making their own store where only you could buy Hot Cheetos in that store. Only you could buy Cheetos in that store. When in reality, you have many knockoff options. You have many varieties nowadays of chips. This is what Nintendo's doing with its games. They had an amazing product now, and they're selling the product in their own store. Mark my words, Nintendo cannot survive if they do not gatekeep their own games. They don't have the quality for it. They don't have the console for it. They don't have the power for it. And quite frankly, they don't have the wide-based consumer approval that they used to have. Like, comment, and subscribe for more. I do upload regularly and it will help out this channel. I also have big plans for when I get to 500 subscribers. So follow along in the journey. Like I said, I will make it worth it at the 500 sub mark.